How do you make a Black Panther 2 that people will not only watch, but be happy with? To be honest, I don't know if it's possible. Marvel Studios is in a hard situation after the untimely death of Chadwick Boseman. The way to move forward has been debated and contested, with lots wishing the role to be recast, for Shuri to take over, have M'Baku take over, and if you look, there are many other takes on how things should move forward. Most have their merit, but while talking with a friend about it, something I had not done until a few days ago at all, he, like many of us, are big fans of the MCU, especially Black Panther. He believed that they should just stop. No one could embody the role, and people would not back anyone else taking the mantle. He was happy with one and done, but I could not accept this fate. It's too important to me. So hopefully this is something he could be happy with, and you as the listener will also like. The role of Black Panther is bigger than Chadwick. I would have loved someone like him to look up to when I was a kid. A wise, humble, yet powerful leader. T'Challa's story had just begun. There are so many different ways the story could go on. So many stories that can be told. Black Panther has been on almost every single major Marvel team. I was hoping for them to somehow have him take over the role of Daredevil, even for a day, or even see some of the magical weapons he has wielded, as Doctor Strange is becoming more prevalent, and in the shadows lurks Doctor Doom. It's an easy argument as to why he should be recast when there's so much more story left to tell. I've also heard the argument that he should be treated as Batman. So many other characters, recast in continuity. There's no need for the stigma of recasting, but there's no way there would not be any backlash. T'Challa is very important to Black culture. Such a rich character, being a one and done will lessen the impact the character could have. I argue he has made a great impact, and as the mantle of Black Panther is passed on, I think it should, as the films are not called T'Challa, even though he is synonymous with the character. If you don't recast, and you pass on the mantle of Black Panther, who should it go to? Well, the most talked about person is his sister Shuri. That comes with many issues. In real life, irrational fan backlash started the moment Chadwick passed. Letitia Wright and other cast and crew were met with a slew of mean comments and opinion pieces on how she isn't worthy. As most know, Shuri did at a time take the mantle of Black Panther, but it was for a very short time, not like what would likely happen in universe. The MCU's iteration of Shuri is not a fighter the same way she was in the comics. She didn't train alongside T'Challa, but instead is more of a brains over brawn type. That in itself makes for quite the predicament. How can one lead if they cannot physically fight? This is a question. More so, what does it mean to lead? And what makes a good leader? I hope that my take will hopefully answer this question. Either way, the character of Shuri is a role model, especially for young Black females. She could become an even bigger one, but can that be done without taking away what T'Challa has done, what Chadwick Boseman has brought to the character? Honestly, it doesn't matter which way they go. There will be those who are at odds with the decision either way, and hopefully my idea is one that makes a story worth watching. I believe, as Chadwick carried on with his life doing as much as he could, the film should do the same. Carry on, doing as much as they can, for everyone. With that in mind, I give you my story for Black Panther 2. We open with the funeral of a king, with no mention of how he died specifically, but only that he was a brave warrior who was taken away too soon. During the funeral, Shuri hears talks of discourse amongst the tribes on who should lead after her brother. And not until that point did she realize that anyone of royal blood could challenge her for the mantle of king/queen of Wakanda. Of the royal bloodlines, it is thought that the merchant and river and mining tribes back her immediately, but it's clear that M'Baku might challenge her, and the border tribe will likely back him to take the mantle. Shuri sees that though her brother had just died, her life could soon end also, if she can't find a way to unify the country, who is starting to break apart over the ideals of what Wakanda is and should be, and who should lead them. Shuri talks to the Queen Mother and asks, is there any way around it? But she states, it's the way that it's always been. The Queen Mother calls a council meeting as the acting Queen Regent until Shuri's coronation. Shuri is not used to the spotlight and lets it slip because she's very open with her words that she does not want to lead. M'Baku calls her out, calls her a child, and tells her that she is not strong and not fit to lead, and he gives a speech proclaiming why he should be the next leader of the nation. In a speech that I'm about to give you a layman's term of, it's going to be a bit of exposition, and it's going to go into what Wakanda was like during the blip. M'Baku states, Wakanda has lost so much before the snap. After opening up to the world, Killmonger brought a civil war with the duel on the Great Mound, and the Avengers bringing Thanos to their doorsteps in the battle for Wakanda. The Jabari and the border tribes taking brunt of the losses, and then half of the remaining Wakandans turned to dust. The nation was lost with its leader and his sister, head of science and information exchange, as well as half of the nation disappeared. Wakanda was without leadership, trying to assess how to continue, again closing its borders to focus on themselves, aside from the Dora Milaje, working with the remnants of the Avengers, and minimal humanitarian aid to the outside world. Like everyone else, they had moved on. For the first year, the Queen Mother ruled the head of the council, but there were too many disagreements and a leader had to be chosen. All royal families met at Warrior Falls, and one by one they fought. As T'Challa was gone and there was no more heart-shaped herb, the title of Black Panther would not be given to the winner, though it was what once unified the nations. But as the world has now changed, they would have to change, and it would only be a battle for the position of King, the protector of Wakanda. At this point, I would like a flashback to the tribes fighting and vying for the power, and showing M'Baku literally just slaughtering other members and coming out victorious. M'Baku continues, he brought the nation back to its grassroots, going against what T'Challa and Shuri had done, closing down most of the technological affairs, including the Wakanda International Outreach Center, as their numbers no longer supported the work and studies, but went back to basic traditions. And as king, he lessened and lessened the use of vibranium, and completely removed the mantle of Black Panther as the leader of the nation, as the Golden Tribe was no longer the ruling family. M'Baku looks over to Shuri and states that it was the Queen Mother's idea for him to take the throne, and proclaims that it was the second time she had done so. Wakanda became a great unified country, slowly, moving on from their losses, growing and changing. And with a snap, this simple life had changed again. Everyone was back. The previous king, T'Challa, had returned. M'Baku states that he did not question nor intend to argue that he should continue to be the king when T'Challa returned, but immediately again went to war in the battle for Earth, where they were victorious, but yet again at great cost. M'Baku yells, "You don't know loss, as we have had loss over and over, loss of our way of lives at the request of the Golden Tribe, and he will not stand for a leader who is unwilling or unable to lead." M'Baku further comments on her focus on tech and not fighting and leading. He calls her puny and weak and states that she could not even lift up his staff. He suggests that she yield to him at the incoronation, as he will challenge her and he will kill her if he must to save his ideals for the nation. Shuri argues, fighting doesn't necessarily make you a good leader of a nation, and she doesn't understand why they still do such barbaric things when they are so advanced. Her proclamation is met with deaf ears, and as a last-ditch effort, she requests a week delay for the incoronation ceremony so she may get her things in order. Makathu, the elder of the border tribe, who during the events of the first Black Panther film was quick to agree that Ndjaka, the son of Prince Njobu, is within his rights to challenge for the throne before T'Challa even accepted, speaks with M'Baku on how the Golden Tribe has often slighted the rules in favor of actions that fit their personal cause, not for the country. How the Dora Milaje, who are supposed to be loyal to the throne, no matter who sits on it, wish to stop Ndjaka challenge as they saw T'Challa losing a fair fight. Though it has been debated if Killmonger's win was legitimate, as T'Challa never died nor submitted, I argue it was, because in fact during the fight, Zuri interfered and blocked Killmonger's killing strike. This act, even though T'Challa did not ask Zuri to do so, was in fact interference of ritual combat. And in that combat, it was clear to all that it was a one-sided fight. It should have ended the fight at that point where T'Challa lost all right to the crown, or at least the fight should have been moved to another day. Makathu asks M'Baku why the Jabari, also partially complicit in interference, kept T'Challa alive. M'Baku states, though they did not want part in the fight, M'Baku himself felt he owed T'Challa for sparing his life. A life for a life. He feared that Killmonger bringing vibranium out into the world, and even coming after them was a possibility. Makathu says they should have honored the actions of their new king, as the border tribe did, and that if a revolution is what the king wanted, that's what should have been done. Makathu speaks on how he enjoyed the time during the snap. Though it was a dark time, it was mostly peace, and they had not seen peace in a long time. The border tribe lives a more simple life, and though they will always fight to keep Wakanda safe and follow the orders of whoever is king, they much prefer the simple border life. M'Baku agrees and wants that life for all Wakandans. Makathu states, if you do as you have done in the past and lead us, the border tribe will support you and pledge fealty to the Jabari. As you can see, this film would be a political drama with Shuri at the front and M'Baku being the antagonist. He's totally against Shuri, as she's still technically a child, with the more technological aspirations for the nation than ideas of being a leader. Later, Shuri is seen being trained to fight by Okoye, but not being very good at it. Okoye states that she has trained her whole life. It's impossible to learn so much in a short time, and that she will die if she attempts to fight M'Baku. Shuri states that her brother never yielded, and she must do what she feels is right for Wakanda. Okoye says, imagine a female Black Panther. If you somehow make it out on top, you should alter the suit and make it more defensive. Shuri says that she's still very far from synthesizing the heart-shaped herb, and she fears she never will be able to without a live specimen. Shuri decides to attempt to go at it another way, and begins a campaign trail of sorts, going directly to the different royal families, pleading that they do not challenge her, and though it's not what she wants, it's her duty to keep the peace. While meeting with the border tribe, Shuri gets in a heated argument with Wakabi, who was released from confinement during the snap. He states that though he had in the past laid down his weapons for Okoye, he would not do so again. He states that he will challenge Shuri if M'Baku doesn't. Okoye, who is with her, states that he should have been returned to confinement as he was active in treason against the crown. He states he will never be held again, and he will kill Shuri, Okoye, or anyone else for Wakanda. A fight ensues, and Okoye slays her ex-lover Wakabi. This action causes the River tribe to change sides and back M'Baku. We're going to skip forward a little bit to Warrior Falls. The day of Shuri's incarnation. At Warrior Falls, Shuri walks out, and a new shaman begins the ceremony by stating, "Victory in ritual combat comes by yield or death." But before the shaman asks, "Is there any challengers?" Shuri speaks. "I implore you to put down your weapons. There is no need to fight amongst each other. We have all lost enough. Do not raise your weapons, as we can figure this out another way. If I am allowed to lead, I will not ask for a pledge of fealty to me or my family, but for Wakanda. And after my rule, if you all wish to fight for the mantle, let that be so. I will rule fairly, and as members of the council, all tribes will have a fair voice, and that all tribes' voices collectively can overrule my orders, if that's what they wish. But I will not fight any man or woman for Wakanda, only those who wish to harm our way of life. But also, as we are more advanced than the rest of the world, we should act like it. It is our duty to protect the world, not only when we ourselves are at risk. I am not a great fighter, but do not pretend that I've not always fought for the betterment of Wakanda. I fought for the battle of Wakanda and the battle for Earth. I will fight for you, but I will not fight you, and also, I will not yield." The shaman states, "If any tribe wishes to put forth a warrior, I offer a path to the throne." The tribes in succession reply, "The merchant tribe will not challenge today. The river tribe will not challenge today. The mining tribe will not challenge today. The border tribe will not challenge today." And finally, M'Baku steps forward, seemingly as a challenger next to Shuri, and at this time you can see the massive size difference. She seems scared as M'Baku gives a war grunt and states, "The Jabari tribe will not challenge today." A sigh of relief is seen over everyone's eyes. The shaman continues, "Is there anyone of royal blood who wishes to challenge Shuri for the throne?" And as no one speaks, Shuri is crowned queen. After Shuri is crowned queen of Wakanda, she travels to the mountains to speak to M'Baku, thanking him for his support of the country and again for saving her brother's life. She states she understands now how instrumental he was in keeping Wakanda alive, and that she wants him to continue to do so in a way that they can all agree on. M'Baku rises from his throne and tells her to come with him. M'Baku walks with Shuri through the mountains and into many intricate caves. M'Baku states that her brother was the first king or anyone from the royal families to come up to the mountains in centuries. Shuri tells him that the day of her brother's ceremony was the first day that she had ever seen Jabari. M'Baku laughs. He says he learned a lot that day, and he was surprised that days later, Shuri and her mother come up to the mountains and offer him the heart-shaped herb. Shuri asks, "Why didn't you take it?" M'Baku scoffs. "It is not my tradition to do so. It is yours." M'Baku then shows Shuri that deep in the mountains, where the Jabari live, the heart-shaped herb grows wild. M'Baku laughs that they are not all actually vegetarians, and that he did not know that one of the many beautiful flowers that they have there were what they called in the city the heart-shaped herb. He only saw it as another flower in his garden where he goes to think and relax. He realized what it was the moment it was offered to him, but as it is not his tradition to take such things, he knew it was what caused his people to be isolationists for so long. Keeping it a secret would likely bring the country together even after the snap. M'Baku further states, "But it is your tradition. I will not keep it from you. You may have one, and I will burn the rest." Shuri looks at him and says, "Thank you." She thinks for a second and says, "I will take one and never speak of it again. And you should not destroy them if you find them beautiful." Later, we see that Shuri has successfully synthesized the herb. Talking with the council, she says that she will test it on herself. It is also revealed that as it is a different strain and synthesized, it will not connect to the same ancestral plane. The movie ends with Shuri being covered in dirt, as she is hopefully being given powers of the Black Panther. Now I know this is in no way how Ryan plans to go forward with Black Panther 2, because the major idea that I put forward is that this film does not include anyone in the Black Panther suit, but I think that it makes the most sense. How do you pay homage to Chadwick Boseman? Make a Black Panther movie, but without a Black Panther. Give the suit a rest for a minute, as you figure out the best way to move forward, as we have tried to figure out the best way to move forward. There's no need to rush anyone into the suit, but instead, give us a deeper look into the world he introduced us to, into Wakanda, the different tribes, and the ways of life. One of my biggest gripes with what we know canonically is that currently there is no way for there to be another Black Panther, and the Wakanda files state that Shuri is attempting to synthesize the heart-shaped herb. I feel like it's not something that should happen quickly within the film. It may be a little meta for everyone in real life to argue how to move forward, and for the people in Wakanda to do the same, but I think it tracks. As I stated, and you can tell, this isn't a fully formed movie. I'm missing many elements that the film would need. I wrote this all in one day, and hopefully I'll be able to record it in one take. Sadly, I don't have to figure it all out, but I'm sure some of you have great ideas, and I'd like to hear them. If I tried to perfect this idea, this video would never get made. It's more or less the basis of what I think could be a great story. If I had more time, or if I was a great writer, I would like for Okoye to be more front and center, and more of a focus on Shuri's tech and the things that she's currently working on, but I just don't have time to flesh that out. You could possibly add an end credit scene with Okoye talking to Shuri in a jungle-like setting somewhere in Wakanda, but not being able to see Shuri, seeing the suit materialize using the same cloaking device that Wakanda is shaded in, as I think Shuri probably would learn to fight, but she still would not be very great, so something like a cloaking device to hide her in any situation might be helpful. So what did you guys think of my idea for Black Panther 2? And again, feel free to share your thoughts down in the comments, tear it apart. It really doesn't matter. I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to hit on some ideas that I have not heard anyone say whatsoever. I've never done a video like this before, and it was 9 pages long. So I feel like I'm in school. It was a lot of typing and a lot of reading. Anyways, thank you for your indulgence. If you want to see something like this in the future, please let us know down in the comments. And as always, Wakanda Forever.